Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode here in NHL 22. So in last episode, we took on the Colorado Avalanche in the first round of the playoffs, and we managed to get to a 7th game situation, but unfortunately we lost, but it was still a very good playoff matchup for us, and we played pretty good against a very tough Colorado Avalanche team, mainly due to the fact that players like Tyler Agostino, John Farinacci were really good in terms of picking up points. Like, I'll show you guys their player stats again for that playoff round. Agostino and Farinacci both were over point per game. Everybody else was below point per game, but it was still a very good performance, especially from Agostino, who I wasn't really expecting to score a lot of goals, but he was shooting 30% in that round, and he was really good. Like, he had like a 5-game point streak, I think, with Farinacci, but the two of them didn't get any points in that Game 7 situation. But yeah, that line of Agostino, Farinacci, and Shelley was phenomenal. But anyways, we're up here at the draft, and then we're going to get into the resign stage. And yeah, we're looking to add a little bit more prospects into our system, as well as see how our team is going to be situated for next season, because we do have a lot of young guys that could jump up into the NHL club for next season. So we might have to let go of some of our veterans to make some more roster room and all that type of thing. So it might be an interesting offseason for us for sure. Hopefully we can make it back to the playoffs again next year. So the first comment is from HawksFan88. He says, good series will be a great experience for a young team. That said, with your first pick, I would take Bykov. Looks like he'll be a good, solid goal scorer, scoring center. So we'll take a look at Bykov, because this draft class, obviously, since we made the playoffs, we're not going to have as good of a pick as we've had in previous years. But he is saying to go with Bykov, which, let's take a look at Bykov. Yeah, he looks like he could be a pretty solid center. And he does have goal scoring, offensive instincts, and balance, and it's his no weakness. So, yeah, Bykov might be one of our picks for sure, because then we could get a good center in, and maybe that guy could be like a third-line center or something, maybe even a top-6 center at some point if he develops well. So I think we'll probably end up going with Bykov, because this draft class, obviously, like I said, we don't really know a whole lot about it. And the next and final comment is from Jeff Brelinski. He says, kind of feel like you should move Keller for someone better on the PK or a defensive upgrade. Plus, his cap got moved from $7 million to $10 million on the seasons the team was below the cap. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind moving Clayton Keller, because like he's kind of a streaky player in terms of how he plays. And then obviously his cap hit isn't really that nice. As you can see, he's making over $10 million. He's only 26, which isn't too bad, but it is a little bit expensive to pay him that much money. For another 2 seasons, I think it is, 3 seasons. So we might have to move him away. Like, I could take a look at some trade options. Like, we'll bring up the trade finder and see if there's any offers from at the actual draft itself. But if we can't really find anything, I'll probably wait until we get to free agency. That way we could take a look at all the players on the block, and maybe we could trade for one of them to help us out in terms of like the penalty kill and all that type of thing. So, but yeah, Clayton Keller definitely could get moved out, considering if we move him out, like Farinacci could easily just jump into the top 6. Zadina's already in the top 6. Like, Shelley's jumping up. Like, we have a lot of other guys that could take over that role. Dylan Genther also could be in the top 6. So I don't think it's a bad option to move out Keller. And then we also save a lot of cap space as well. So yeah, that's that. And let's get into this draft, and then we'll take a look at some trading options for one Clayton Keller, and then we'll make our pick and all that type of thing and get into the resign stage. So let's see what we could get here in the draft and see if we could get that Bykov dude. New Jersey's got first overall, followed by Montreal, Detroit, Dallas, and Philadelphia. We are all the way here at number 18, so not for quite a while. But let's see what goes in this top 5 just to see if there's any good prospects that go. So at number 1, New Jersey is going to take a medium elite in Tubert, who's an 82 playmaker. Interesting. Not sure how good that guy's going to be, but it's still a good pick for the Devils. The Canadians take a defenseman, 80 medium elite. Good shutdown defender. Yeah, this guy's just like an old school defensive defenseman to an extent, which is kind of neat. Detroit's going to take at number 3 another defenseman. This one's a 2-way. Interesting. Doesn't have any X factors though, which is kind of weird for a top 3 pick. Dallas at number 4 is going to take Cole, who's a 2-way forward, 79 overall. So this draft class isn't looking as strong as some other draft classes, but still looks pretty good. Hopefully that top 6 forward prospect we end up getting is going to be decent. There's another 79, a sniper, and Noel Anders. This guy's going to be a good goal scorer. But there's your top 5 in this year's draft. Let's sim to our pick at number 18 and see if we can get Bykov, which more than likely, yep, we can. Perfect. Hopefully he's a decent overall out of the gate, and then hopefully he can make this team in a few seasons. I probably won't sign him right away because we are getting really close to the amount of contracts we could have on our roster unless we let go of some of our AHLers. So I probably won't sign Baikov yet, but we are going to take him because I don't really think there's anything else we could really take. Like, this guy looks decent in terms of shooting and stuff like that, but he does have weaknesses. So yeah, we're going to bring in Vladimir Baikov. So welcome to the Arizona Coyotes. He's a 65 medium top 6, so not too bad. There's his individual attributes in case you guys want to pause that. He is pretty solid all around, like it was saying. He is a little bit better defensively than offensively, which is kind of interesting, but he does have good shooting categories, good passing, that type of thing. Like, there's not really any category that's really below a 70, which is really good to see. So hopefully that guy develops into being something good at one point. We'll sim to our second round pick here at number 18 in the second round. We could go with Howard, who's a power forward, but I really don't know what we really need, to be honest. I might take some more defensemen. This guy's 3 years away. Similar style to Joe Sakic. That's kind of intriguing. Orders are top 6D. This guy doesn't look too good, though. Joey Marks, 3 years away. I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Koltsov, even though he's probably going to be a top 9 forward. But having a similar style to Joe Sakic, that means this guy's probably like a sniper, I'm going to assume. So welcome aboard, Kirill Koltsov. And he is a sniper, but he is a top 9, 64 overall. So don't know how this guy's going to pan out, but he's got some good shooting, so he might end up being a good AHLer at some point. Maybe he makes the NHL and becomes a third liner for us. That would be really good. That's like at the highest standard that he could make, but I don't know if he will. Third round pick wise, let's just take this low top 4 because we could always use another low top 4. Why not? And he's also listed as a gem, so we'll take him. Jonathan Matvichuk, and he's a low top 4, 61 overall defensive defenseman. Not too bad. Always good to get more defensemen into the system. Hopefully that one develops decently. And then in our fourth round pick, there's goalie prospect. I don't know if we still need much goalie prospects. We could always take another goalie. Yeah, you know what? We'll just take Stefan Pettersson because I think he might be one of the best goalies in this draft. So why not? Well, and he's medium elite. Let's go. Okay, we might have found our goalie of the future finally. Unless we already have some, but I can't remember. But Stefan Pettersson, that's pretty good. Medium elite, 62 overall at 18. So that is a really big W in the fourth round. Really like that pick. Didn't expect him to be that high of an overall too, because 62 at 18 is pretty good for a medium elite. Like, that means he's probably going to make the NHL for sure. It's just about how he's going to actually simulate once he gets to the NHL, because some elite goalies don't really simulate that good. So, but I really like that pick. Donovan Helms, a grinder, 5 years away though. It's kind of dropped off a lot, this draft class quality. Scouts recommending us one of the three of these guys, but I don't really think any of them are going to be that good, to be honest. I'm going to just take Donovan Helms, because why not? If he is a grinder, that's good. Yeah, he's a grinder, so low top 9. It's good to get a grinder, because maybe he can become a penalty kill specialist at some point, but I don't think he will, but you never know. We don't really need to take another goalie, because we just drafted one. Low top 6D might not be that bad, even though he might not pan out. Yeah, I think we're going to take Reese Patterson, because why not? Get us another defenseman. He's a low top 6, 55 overall, two-way, so that's not too bad. But he probably won't pan out to being anything at the NHL level. And we do have 2 7th-round picks, which is interesting. Oh, yeah, I was going to take a look at what I could trade away Keller for. God damn it. I always forget about what I say, and God damn it. So let's see, can we get anything for Clayton Keller? Nothing has popped up. It probably would have gotten some offers in the earlier rounds, but it is what it is. We'll take a look at the trade finder once we get to free agency as well, and we'll take a look at what's on the block that we could trade him for, because maybe that will be a little bit better than the actual trade finder itself, because sometimes the trade finder throws really bad offers at me. So the rest of his draft looks like crap. This guy's got a physical, but everything else isn't that good. He's got physical play, grit, and strength. So this guy's probably an enforcer, I would assume. Maybe a grinder. I'll just take this dude because why not? And he is an enforcer, just as I was saying. Bottom 6 enforcer, 54 overall. I don't think this guy's going to make it, but it would be cool to have an enforcer in our lineup at some point. But that's kind of neat of a pick. And in our last pick, oh, geez, I simmed our pick. God damn it. Oh, well. They gave us a low 7th D. I forgot that we have back-to-back picks now. Man, I'm like half asleep here or something. Been doing too much roster editing lately. But that is our draft for 2025, I think it is. So we got Bykov, Koltsov, Matvechuk, Pedersen, Helms, Batterson, and an O'Brien and Dadonov. So an interesting draft. Hopefully some of those guys make the NHL at some point. AHL head coaches, I guess we could try and get back the AHL head coach. I think the AHL team hasn't been that good, though, in terms of chemistry, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Or have they? I'm trying to think. I don't know. How good does this guy fit our scheme down there in the minors? 58%. You know what? I don't think I'm going to re-sign the AHL head coach because they did miss the playoffs when they technically should have made the playoffs. So I think we'll just find a new AHL head coach in next episode, probably, if I remember. Or I'll let the AI automatically sign me one, because I honestly forget always to sign coaches and all that type of thing. So scouts, we have one more scout to get back. Is this guy? Yep, that's it. Only those 3 scouts. Now we get into the re-sign stage, which is going to be pretty fun to give out some actual contracts. So we have 41 million in cap space. Let's start off with our RFAs. So Philip Zadina, what do you want? 9.05. Geez, that's a lot more than I expected. I don't want to lock you up for 8 years, I could say that. So let me just bring up myself a calculator so we could do the 85% rule. So he wants $905 million. So we're going to times that by 0.85. And we will offer him a 6-year deal, I think, at 7 point. It might be a little bit expensive paying him for 6 years, but he could be trade bait at some point if he's not living up to his contract. So I'll do $7.7 million for 6 years, which I think is a decent deal. Then we get into some other fun ones. Ponomarev, I could give a 2-year deal to, but I'm going to give a 1-year deal to for now, just to make sure we are kind of close on the cap front. So we'll do 1 year at 1.7. Samorukov, 3 years at 2.9 is not too bad. But yeah, we're going to be pretty close to the cap floor, I think, this year, just because we got a lot of guys that are actually going to get paid this year. So 2.975 times 0.85. What could we get him for? We could get him for like 2.55. So we'll just do that. 3 years at 2.55 is fine for me. Nick Beaudin, I'm only going to give a 1-year deal to because I don't know if he's a part of our long-term future. Let's just get him for 1.6 if we can. And then Braden Tracy wants a 2-way deal. We'll just give him that. Hopefully he's in the NHL next season. Same with Braden Schneider. We'll give Moser a contract. Pretty much all RFAs I always re-sign. It's just the UFA AHLers that we might have to let go of to free some room for some prospects. So let's go to our UFAs now and go to the bottom of this list. And yeah, we're going to have to let go of Kyle Capobianco, I think, because we need to free up room for Ortmeyer, because Ortmeyer is a very important one because he does have a zone ability, which is kind of interesting. So Capobianco, best of luck in free agency, and I will sign up Ariel Ortmeyer. As for these other prospects, I would really like to sign them, but I don't really know if I can because of the amount of roster space we have. We don't really have a lot of room, and I don't think we'll be signing Pavelka because we don't really have the room for him either, I don't think. But we will see once we get some other players re-signed. I am going to let go of Asplund, I think, this year that we just signed last year, just because we do have guys jumping up that could replace him. So I'll release Asplund for now. I'm also going to release pretty much everybody here, I think, except for Gauthier, just for now. But I could bring some of them back, so best of luck in free agency, Dal Cole. Same with Christian Fischer, just because a lot of these guys are like 4th liners, and I want to make sure we have our younger guys jumping up first before we use these guys. So, but we could always bring these guys back in free agency if we really need to. And then Julian Gauthier, I think I'm going to give a contract to. He does want $3 million, which is a bit pricey, but it will keep us close to the cap floor, so we'll sign him up for 1 year if he wants to sign that. And Jack Campbell, I think we'll give still a 1-year deal to because he's been pretty solid. We'll sign him up for 1 more year just to make sure we have a goalie for next year. Let's advance today, see if we can get all these guys, and then we'll see if we could actually get back some of those other AHL kind of guys. Looks like some rejections in there, but some people accepted. Yeah, so we got to still get Zadina. We still got to get Ponomarev and Samorukov, so the 3 big ones. So 6 years. Let me try this again. So he wants $9 million. That's so pricey. but it's kind of worth it to an extent. So I think what I could give him is like 7 point. Let me give him like 7.85. We might eventually trade him away because that cap hit might not be that good. And then Ponomarev, let's give you a 1-year deal. And you want 18.25. So let me see if I could do the 85% trick for this as well. And we will try, actually I can't go down that low probably because I think I offered more than that last time. So I'll give you 1 year at $2 million just to get you to accept. And then Sam Marukov, I will still try and get you on a 3-year deal because you're a solid top 4, maybe a top 6. We'll give you 3 years at 2.3. And I think that should be good. Let's advance a day. And we got still more rejections. Damn, these two are trying to hold out for more money. But we definitely need to get them because Zadina we just traded for literally last offseason. So let me do 6x8 for Zadina. That hopefully should get it done. And then Samarukov, let me try and get for 3 years still. And let me try and put this to like 2.7. And see if we get them now. Hopefully we do. And still rejected for both of them. Man, these guys are trying to get paid. We only have a few more days left before I'm going to have to disqualify them. Let's do 6 years at 8.5. That's like a lot of money for Zadina, but it is what it is. And then let me try 2.9 for Samarukov. Please accept. And okay, Samarukov is accepted, but Zadina is still being a bitch. Let's offer him 6 years at $9 million. It's a little bit less than he wants. See if he'll accept that. And he is accepted. Okay, so 6x9. So it's a little bit pricey for Zadina, but I think it's worth it. If he's under simulating, we could always trade him away at some point. As for these prospects, I might have to let them all go. Just because I'm not sure if I have to sign players in free agency. So let's first take a look at what we have for our roster, and then we'll decide if we could actually sign those guys. So currently we'd have 4 roster players there, 5, 6, 7, 8 roster players, 9 roster players, 10, 11, and then also we could play Hagel, so we'd have 12. So we still technically would need at least a depth forward. Defensively, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we're good on defense. Yeah, we're definitely good on defense. Don't need to touch that. And we are good goaltending wise as well. So we technically would only need to sign maybe like a depth forward or 2, I think. So I should be able to sign. Let's see, we have 6 contract spaces. Who's the best out of these guys in terms of draft spot? Some of them are 3rd rounders. Trying to see who has the best way of developing. I'm going to sign Rude too because we do need defensive prospects. And I think I'm also going to sign Fitzmaurice, but the other 2 I'm going to let go. And then we need to sign 2 depth forwards pretty much for our team. As for Pavelka, I don't think there's any way he gets into this team, even though he has fringe starter potential. I don't think he's going to develop early, so I am going to let him walk. But other than that, I think we pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much good. Let me just make sure. Our roster. Okay, so we have 46 out of 40 contracts, so we could sign 4 players. And like I said, I think we'd be using them for as more depth forwards because we do have a good amount of roster players like Shelley and Gauthier definitely in the lineup. Same with Agostino, Keller, Zadina, Genther. Braden Tracy, I think, should crack the lineup this year. Hagel could crack the lineup as a depth forward or something like that if we want to. And then we also have already like 4 centers, so I think we're pretty much good in forwards except for depth. And then defensively, we're definitely fine. Goalies were definitely fine, so I don't think we really need to sign a whole lot in terms of free agents. So let's take a look at what's available in free agency, and then we'll take a look also at what we could get for maybe Clayton Keller, because that will free up a roster spot as well if we want to find somebody else in free agency. So there is some really big players available in free agency, best being Sidney Crosby for centers. But yeah, there's some really good centers available if we wanted to bring in a center. We'd probably want to bring in a better penalty killer like Jeff was mentioning. So somebody like Nick Paul might be not too bad. Don't know if he fits our penalty kill, but there is a lot of players out there that could help us out probably in terms of the penalty kill. Left wing wise, the best is Evander Kane, but there is guys like Robbie Fabry. So there's some decent players that are like 28 years of age that I wouldn't mind bringing in. It's just more about trying to figure out how we would set up a roster. Like, I think we could use Hagel as a depth option, and in that way we could still sign a player for a roster, but it would probably be more of a third or fourth liner that we'd want to bring in. We could bring in Tyler Benson, for example. Yeah, Tyler Benson might not be a bad option for the fourth line. He's only 27. Best right winger is Mitch Marner. Definitely we're not signing Mitch Marner, though. But there is some good options out there in terms of right wingers. Cam Atkinson, Kessel. Some good veterans we could play with our young guys if we want to. That might have some trade value come to trade deadline if we are not in a playoff situation. And defensively, there's some really good defensemen. There's Ivan Provorov. Obviously, we're not going to sign a defenseman because we got a lot in our system, but there is good defenders out there if we wanted to trade away one of our defensemen and try and upgrade our defense a little bit. So, and then goalie-wise, not that we really need a goalie, but there is Linus Ullmark, Shesterkin's there, Blackwood. So there's some good goalie options as well. Interesting. Let's take a look at what we could get for Clayton Keller with the trade finder, and if there's no offers thrown at us, then we'll take a look at the trading block to see what potential stuff we could trade for in terms of making an off-season trade. So let's just take a look. Keller does have some value, which is good. No trades found. Maybe it's because of my block. Let me just adjust the trading block, and then we'll take a look and see if we could get offers for him that way. But let's go to our trading block. And we will adjust our wants to younger prospects, maybe. Actually, maybe not, no. We wanted like a defensive forward. Probably somebody more that's like a third liner. And we'll probably go anywhere from 17 to like... Let's go to 30 years old. Actually, not 17. Let's go like NHL ready, so 23 to 30 years old. Something like that, and we want to up that defensive stats a little bit, at least 4-star defensively. See if we can find any offers that way, and then we'll remove these other assets for now. But let's just take a look and see if that helps us out in terms of a Keller offer, because we want to find a good defensive forward, maybe to help us out. Because most of our forwards, I think, right now are a little bit offensively minded, if I'm not mistaken. But let's take a look and see if that helps us out with the offer. No, it doesn't. Okay. So we're going to have to just take a look at the trading block and see what's out there, I guess. But hopefully there's some stuff that could help us out in terms of that defensive area. Like Jacob Silverberg wouldn't be that bad, but signed for 2 years at 6.6. I don't really like that. Teddy Bluger is not a bad option. 1 year at 1.03. He's definitely a good defensive forward, and he is a third liner. And he does fit our fourth line and power play lines, but not our penalty kill necessarily. But I think he would be a nice low-risk, high-reward type of player. He does have some trade value, so we might have to give up a decent amount to get him. But I think Bluger would be a pretty solid option if we wanted to bring in somebody for the penalty killing unit, if he actually fits that penalty kill. Anybody else interesting that could help us out in terms of the penalty kill? Nazem Kadri, but signed for 2 years at $5 million. I don't really like that, to be honest. Patrick Hornquist is dropping off. But yeah, we just need to find somebody that's good defensively that could help us out a bit, keeping the puck out of net. Oliver Bjorkstrand has 1 year left in barely any value. That actually seems like a no-brainer almost to an extent, but I don't know if he's really a penalty kill guy. Like, he's good offensively. I know he's good defensively in real life, but he doesn't fit our system, which kind of sucks. But why is his value so low? Like, he is a good player and he signed for 1 year only. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I don't think there's any way we're going to bring him in, but just because he doesn't fit our system. I don't like that Eric Gustafsson deal, so I'm never going to do that. Nugent Hopkins is still signed for 4 years. He's still kind of expensive. Zach Hyman's still signed for multiple years. We want to find somebody with like an expiring deal that we could flip away if our team's not performing that well. Damn, Drew Doughty's on the block, but $11 million. No, thank you. A lot of defensive forwards. Oh, there you go. Philip Deneau, 2 years, though, at 5.5. No, thank you. I'm not paying 5.5 to Philip Deneau. Spurgeon and Brody. So if there's defensive upgrades, if you want to upgrade our defensive core, because we could always do that too. Any way to like kind of make our penalty kill better. Because I think our penalty kill was our problem last year, especially in that playoff matchup against Colorado. Trouba only had 1 year left. That's interesting, but $8 million might be a lot to give up for somebody like him. We'd have to probably give up a good prospect to get him, I would assume. So there's that. Nothing there. Ottawa's got some prospects on the block. Philadelphia's got more prospects. Pittsburgh's got more prospects. San Jose's got some veterans, but most of them are signed to bad deals. Vlasic is still there. He wouldn't be a bad depth option, but we do have already depth defenders, so I don't think we need him. Erik Karlsson's on the block, but still making $11.5 million. Jack Hughes is there. Dmitry Kulikov. I don't know why Jack Hughes always gets thrown on the block. It's kind of interesting because he was on the block in New Jersey, and that's how he ended up in St. Louis. Alex Kerfoot. I don't think he's as good defensively. Arvidsson's there, JT Miller. Yeah, there's definitely some good options if we want to bring in a veteran. Like this, Tyler Johnson actually fits our third line, but he's already 34, so he could drop off. And he's only signed for 1 year, which is also good. Alex Killorn's not a bad option. He's got low value as well. Only fits our top line, apparently. Tanner Pearson's there. Alex Tuck at 1 year. There's a lot of players on expiring deals that could help us out for sure. And that's pretty much that. So I think that's pretty much it. Let me just take a quick look at our progress reports again, just see if anything's changed. But in the system, we have a lot of really good AHLers that could all jump up. Wallsted's not even really developing, which kind of sucks. I don't really know why he's not developing more than the 78. But I don't know if we should just randomly try him as a backup in the NHL at some point. Yeah, but we do have a lot of good players in the minors that should be jumping up at some point. Lawrence is going to probably be back in the AHL next season just because I think he needs to develop a little bit more. Because obviously 76 isn't that good enough for the NHL really. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode. So in next episode, we will have the free agency where we'll sign some players maybe just to fill out our depth. And yeah, we might make a trade if there's anything you guys saw for Clayton Keller. Let me know down below in the comments. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.